This film is so all over the place, it's probably gonna divide people up. I'm Anthonix Maximus. I just watched Halloween Ends. I did this right after my last Anthonix Maximus Matinee review, and I saw Halloween Ends on Peacock, and then afterwards I decided, let me pull out my tie and my fingerless gloves and turn the camera on. Yes, Halloween Ends. Oh, and bit of a warning, like I said in the last video, I'm fighting a cold, so bear with me. I guess we're considering this a trilogy, based off of the Halloween 2018 movie and up. I mean, yes, it's supposed to also take place right after the first original Halloween movie, ignores Halloween 2, and all the other films, but I don't see it like that, and I'll get to the reason why I think that way later on. This film, of course, follows Laurie Strode. At this point, she is trying to go back to living the normal life. In the previous film, she made herself recluse. She made herself just always stay at home, have traps set up for Michael Myers, just in case he returns. But even though Michael Myers pretty much escaped in the last movie, the whole entire town of Haddonfield is trying to move on, and so is she. And she is living with her granddaughter, Allison. Allison is trying to move on, but also she has to deal with life problems, really. Trying to get a promotion at the job, and also her and Laurie are kind of looked at as outsiders because the town blames them for invoking Michael Myers. I really don't get that logic because Michael Myers was killing people long before those two, but somehow the events of the last two movies made everyone blame Michael Myers on those two women. I gotta say, I like Jamie Lee Curtis much better in this film. The last film had me disappointed. Not really her fault, it's just that the whole entire time, basically, Laurie was in a hospital bed, not doing anything. She was recovering from the film before that. I like what this current run of Halloween movies have been doing, where it's no longer just Laurie trying to move on with her life, but it's the entire town of Haddonfield. It actually pulls in the citizens. So it's almost like it's the citizens' movies as well. But it's not that simple of a plot. Not like the other movies. It's not about Michael Myers trying to get his revenge once again. This time, what the trailers don't tell you is, it goes in a whole different direction that I was shocked to see. And I don't want to spoil that right yet. I was surprised to see that Danny McBride, of all people, was an executive producer of this film, which explains his character in the last movie. His character was very over the top, and watching the last movie, Halloween Kills, it was kind of like you couldn't decide on a genre. It went from scary to comedy, but this film kept a consistent tone. But it wasn't all dreary either. It was kind of hopeful. I wonder if my feeling for this movie would have been different if I saw it in the theaters. I'm pretty sure it is, because I normally am one to believe that the best part about the theater is sharing the experience with people in the room. But for the sake of just wanting to watch the movie before the spoilers entered the internet, and I wanted to get my review out, I decided to watch it on Peacock. So listen, if you haven't seen the movie, this is a point where you may want to back away. If you have seen the movie, or if you haven't seen the movie and want to be spoiled, stick around. If you haven't seen the movie, cut to about there. Yeah, so this is a whole different movie, right? It involves a new character named Corey Cunningham, and I was kind of disturbed that the film didn't start off with something to do with Michael Myers. It had something to do with a whole new babysitter, but that's okay. I'm not going to try to nitpick about that. It was shocking to see that he is babysitting this kid, and the kid, I'm still not sure if the kid was being a bastard or if Michael Myers was just kind of lurking around, but somehow Corey got himself locked into a closet trying to find this kid, and then he kicked the door open and knocked the kid off the side down to the first floor. So they were on the second floor. He kicked the door open, accidentally hit the kid. The kid fell down the stairs, off the stairs, and hit the ground. The boy's parents came home, and it looks like it was Corey's fault. Didn't help either that he was holding a knife that he found on the stairs, which is why I thought Michael Myers had shown up. Now, this is the part where it's going to divide people, because it's like it almost kind of, I don't know, I guess it's trying to incorporate some kind of magic, or I don't get what was happening, because it was a connection where Corey is picked on by the town just like Allison and Laurie, but Corey is being picked on a town because, oh, he's a child murderer. Accidental child murderer, but he's a child murderer. His mom is overbearing. And Corey actually meets Michael Myers, and Michael Myers touches him, and it's like there's a weird psychic connection where they see each other's traumas. So now Corey is kind of working with Michael Myers. So now Corey is kind of sympathetic towards Michael Myers. Michael Myers is pretty much dying. He's constantly out of breath. You can hear it in the performance. Corey is introduced to Allison through Laurie, and Corey and Allison develop this, I guess, almost Bonnie and Clyde relationship. She's had it with the town, and he is just kind of on a killing spree for his own personal revenge. And he's obsessed over Allison now. He even kills a cop that once dated Allison, but the cop's not over it. My only question to that is, he killed a cop, and yet that didn't set off any alarms. That didn't set off any red flags for other cops to start going on a manhunt. You know what? It's okay. I can actually accept this, because usually what happens in the final film of a certain franchise is they will push out the old and bring in the new. So it's almost like you're thinking Corey is going to become the next Michael Myers. He even dons the mask, and you think he's going to be the big bad of the film, especially after he tries to go up against Laurie herself. But no, he pretty much offs himself, which is interesting because Laurie was pretty much prepared to off herself as well, because she is so guilt-ridden that her granddaughter has to go through the nightmares that was caused during Laurie's time. And Laurie is also guilt-ridden that the town is turned against her family because of the events. I do like the dynamic of seeing how each person in that town has moved on or is living with the death of so many of their friends and family, because Haddonfield is supposed to be a small town. Yeah, at the end you get the final battle of Michael Myers taking back his mask and facing Laurie Strode for one last time. And I'll admit, the final climax is kind of underwhelming, but you know, that you kind of expect that, right? Because, I mean, no offense to Jamie Lee Curtis, but she's up there in age. Her character is up there in age, and so is Michael Myers, who is actually supposed to be, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit older than her too. So they're both pretty much tired in real life and on screen. So yeah, it's an underwhelming ending to Michael Myers, but it kind of makes sense. And at least it's not over the top like the other movies. And to my shock, Laurie lives. Because, let's face it, Laurie has died multiple times, just like Michael Myers. We see Allison moving on with her life at the end, moving out of Haddonfield, and Laurie finally accepts the date from Officer Hawkins, played by Will Patton once again. So yeah, it's kind of a dark tone for a Halloween movie that it should be a dark tone. And I'm a bit of a softie anyways, because sometimes I just like a happy ending in a horror movie, even if we can expect some kind of sequel. And it's Halloween, there's going to be a sequel, even though they tie everything up. In fact, they made sure that they dumped Michael Myers' body into a metal grinder, and it's being watched by the whole entire town, and we see some of the victims from the previous movies, or the survivors of the previous movies, watching his body get chopped up. We know better. These movies, they're just gonna keep coming back. Don't know how, but they'll find a way. So let's bring back our non-spoiler friends, huh? Zap. Hey, welcome back. I think we covered what we needed. I was just telling the others that this movie does have a nice dark tone, but it's very hopeful. And they introduce new characters, and they also have some of the survivors from the previous movies as well. It's good to see Jamie Lee Curtis playing Laurie Strode like nothing has changed. She still embodies the original character. A new character played by Rowan Campbell, you'll see him. And if you look at this actor's face, he kind of looks like a combination of Corey Feldman and Freddie Stroma from Peacemaker. It wraps things up in a nice bow, but what divides the movie up, and will tell you this, is that you're gonna go in thinking it's about your typical Michael Myers film, but it's really a whole different plot. And you know what? That's okay. I'm actually okay with that. I used to have issues with some of the original sequels, but what if I introduced you to this concept? What if we looked at it this way? The original concept of the original Halloween movie was it was going to be Halloween 1 and 2. That was going to be its own thing. But any future sequels, they were each going to be a whole different movie. Hence, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Because that one has nothing to do with Michael Myers, and it was its own thing. And this movie is kind of like that too. In a way. Yeah, they wanted each movie after the initial two to be their own separate things, like a series of anthology films. Kind of like if you took the segments of Creepshow, but you made each of those segments into their own feature-length film. That's how we can look at these Halloween movies, right? Because if this current set of movies want to ignore all the other movies beyond the first initial one, then we can pretend the other movies exist but as their own anthology film. So, Curse of Michael Myers, or The Return of Michael Myers, or whatever, Halloween H2O. They can stand on their own. That's why I can accept that Laurie Strode had a son and a daughter. If you don't think the same way, that's fine. I understand. It's my own coping mechanism. Thinking real hard on this, because I know the internet's gonna give it a bit of a hard time. I'm gonna go ahead and call this movie a 7 out of 10. Not closer to an 8, not closer to a 6, just 7 out of 10. It's not the way I imagined it going, but I really didn't know how you would end a Halloween series either. I'll take it as it is. And at least this film didn't have cliche lines like people chanting "evil ends tonight." Thank you for watching Anthonix Maximus Matinee. I'm gonna let my larynx heal a bit more, and then I'm going to start tackling more Anthonix Maximus reviews because I got some ideas.